We're back with Martin and David at BugeyeGuy.com. We're talking about Bugeye maintenance. Martin has asked about brake and suspension maintenance, and I'm going to jump right in here on our 60 Bugeye here, just to fill you in. This is that nicely restored green Bugeye we call Gene. And here's a drum brake on the passenger side. And this is the bleed screw. If you wanted to put in fresh brake fluid, you would open this with a bottle and a clear line, pump the fluid through, feed new fuel, brake fluid into the master cylinder, and that would help purge any dirty fluid that might carry grit and moisture or any dirt of any kind, and that would clean it out. So that's a maintenance item, and I would say every 5 years that's a good thing to do. But another thing that we can see here, these are the grease fittings. A regular traditional grease gun goes on these fittings. Here are 2 of them. There's actually one missing that goes up here that lubricates the bushing and the kingpin. This is important because it's a bushing set up on a steel shaft, the kingpin, and that's what controls our turning and pivoting of the wheel, and these need to be lubricated regularly. We'd have to check the interval in the owner's manual, but it's probably every 1,000 miles. So they want you to have a grease gun and shoot some grease in there on both front suspensions and keep that well maintained. This is another thing that you want to keep an eye on. These are the rack boots for the steering. These have been replaced. They're a little dirty, but when they wear out, you see cracks in these grooves, and when they perish, you actually are letting dirt into the steering rack, and that's a problem. So this is something that, again, if you start with a good car, it should last a good 10 years before the rubber just ages and cracks. That's pretty much all you need to know about brakes and suspension. Oh yeah, one other thing I will show you. The drum brakes on these cars are adjusted right under this hubcap. There's a hole in the wheel immediately over the screw. So you rotate the wheel until it lines up with the screw. There's a slotted screw here and a slotted screw here. You turn them one click at a time as you rotate the wheel until it starts to get stiff. And what that does is it compensates as the brake shoes wear. You're adjusting them outward so that you have minimal pedal travel to contact the shoes and the drums. In other words, a modern car has a disc brake that's self-adjusting. And on drum brakes on these old cars, you have to intervene and adjust them every 2,000 miles or so just to make sure they're operating at peak performance. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. As far as the inside of the car, cleanliness is best. Just keeping them vacuumed is a nice thing to do. There's really not much you need to do in the way of maintenance in the cockpit of the car. And onto the back of the car, the same really holds true. Rear brake adjustment is 1 screw instead of 2. It's very simple, it's just popping off the hubcap. There's nothing really back here that would require any maintenance of any kind. Just, again, keeping it clean and dry is always appreciated, always a good thing. When you have a new car like this, or a newly restored car, again, everything's been set up right and there isn't really too much to worry about. So that's a little bit more about maintenance from BugeyeGuy.com.